What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another video. I am the Hobbyist, and today we are going to be doing a servo upgrade on my Axial Scx10 III. This is currently running a cheap 20 kg Amazon servo that I picked up just when I was building the kit, but it's gotten a bit slow and I think it could do a little bit better. So I have got this. This is a JX DC-5821 LV. I don't know if you guys can see that. It is a 21 kg, 21 kg servo, fully waterproof. As you can see on the specs right here, we get 21.8 kgs at 6 volts and 0.16 seconds at 6 volts, and we are going to be running this truck on 6 volts. One of the really interesting things about this servo is it's smaller than a standard servo, and so if you have something on the scale engine, which I'll show you guys in a minute, then this might fit a little bit better. So let's get the body off and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So under the hood, you can kind of see what I'm talking about. The Scx10 III has a fantastic feature where it's got the scale engine underneath, and then if you pay a little bit extra, there's some off-brand companies that make the other half of the V8 engine. As you can see, here's the servo that's currently in it, and I had to take off the back cap, and that was to make the scale engine basically fit. If I grab another one of these servos, I don't know if this is exactly the same one, but I know it's exactly the same size. This is, the same size servo, and I had to take off this plastic cap completely, as you can see right there. It's just gone, and that's in order for this to fit over. But this new JX servo, I'll take it out and show you guys in a minute, is a little bit smaller. But first, let's get the old servo taken out, and then we will put in the new servo. Alright, so I've got the old servo out and I've completely unplugged and everything, as you saw in that short time lapse. So here's the servo that came out of it, and as you can see, I completely removed the bottom piece compared to this servo. As you can see, they're pretty much identical. But it was so close, but I just needed to remove this much in order for this servo to fit. But now it's time to unbox the JX servo. So this JX servo is relatively inexpensive, and I already opened it up and took out all the extra servo horns because we don't really care about that. Here is the servo itself, and as you can see, the ears on the servo mounting points are a bit lower, completely waterproof, as it says. This blue piece is aluminum, all metal gears, fully waterproof. The servo lead comes out at a slightly different spot as opposed to the very bottom. It comes out right here, which is I've seen that on a few Savox servos as well. But as you can see, if we put these two servos side by side and line them up from the bottom, you can see there's a bit of a height difference. Hang on, let me put it on the table so you can see it better. So with both servos sat on the table, you can see that the JX servo is quite a bit shorter, and I'm hoping with that I won't have to actually take off the back piece. So if we move the servo and look at the servo that actually came out of the truck, it lines up almost perfectly, which is why I think the servo is going to be such a great candidate. So let's throw in the new servo. So I just realized that I did not film any footage of this steering with the old servo, but you can find it on my channel. But suffice to say, it was pretty slow. It was 0.2 transit speed, whereas this new servo is going to be 0.16, so this is definitely going to be faster. And then this is going to have a little bit more torque, and I trust the JX torque ratings much better than the no-name Chinese servos. JX is still a Chinese brand, but it's an actual company. So I'm just going to get this installed. I'll show a quick little time lapse, and we will get on with setting up the servo. Alright, so as you saw, I've got the new servo in. The wire just barely was able to reach to the receiver box, but I managed to get it there. Yeah, bit close, but we were able to make it work. And no wires other than that were a problem. So I haven't connected the servo horn yet, and that is because we need to center it up. But before I do that, I might as well put on the engine cover again, because it's not like we are going to be messing around with anything else here anymore. So yeah, let's get that on real quick. Pretty simple thing. First of all, there's hair on there. First of all, just get the front piece on. I found that it's easier to put the front piece on and then the top piece on behind it to get it to line up correctly. So screw this on like so. And now the moment of truth, will the top piece now fit over the servo without me having to mess with it? Fingers crossed. Let me push down the motor wires so those aren't in the way. Oh, it's looking promising. Let me screw it down and tighten it. But it's looking very promising. Tighten this down. Whoops. Let me get the other one started real quick before I tighten that side down. Alright, that side's in a little bit. So tighten this. There we go. Tighten this. Nice. That is fitting very, very nicely. As you can see, this piece fits perfectly. It's not, getting pushed up or doing anything weird like that. And it fits really, really well. And I'm very, very surprised and very happy that it's doing that. So now it's time to set up the servo. All right, so I've got my SCX10 III plugged into a battery, and I've got my radio set to SCX10 III. So let's turn it on. And I did hear the servo move, so let's check. Alright, it's definitely working. So now I'm going to make sure that all of my trims are set to 0, so I'm going to check sub trim. My sub trim is way out, so let me set that back to 0. It's always good to make sure all of your trims are set to 0 before you put in a new servo. That way, when you go to center it, it won't be, you have as much adjustment as possible if you need to. So now it is centered, so now I'm going to try to connect the servo horn, which is right there, up into the servo. I'm not going to bother filming it because it's just going to be a little bit tricky to get in there. So I'll put you guys back on once I've got the servo horn connected. Alright, so I got the servo horn on, and I decided to just get the trim set and the travel set while I was at it. So as you can see, the servo works very well. It's got some pretty good torque, I'm trying to hold it and it's still turning, so that's a good sign. And then the speed is actually much quicker than what was in there originally, so I'm very happy with this JX servo. And with that, I think it's time to wrap this video up. So guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment in the section below for what videos you'd like to see next. I definitely recommend this servo for anyone with an Axial Scx10 III because it works really well and it fits under the scale engine, which is really nice. I will leave a link to this servo down in the description below where you can purchase it. I think it was around $20 US on Amazon. So a relatively inexpensive servo, and from the reviews I've seen and the people I've talked to, it is quite reliable as well. So anyway guys, that's going to do it for the video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.